Welcome to The Wave.
Okay, welcome back everyone. As always, the first thing that we are going to need to do here is check out our preferences. I tried to hit play to see if I could hear this in my headphones, and it was a no-go. So we're going to come down, change to our Scarlett. We are in edit mode. If we were in record mode, we'd go with a super low buffer size, but we're editing and mixing, so we're going to go with highest available according to your CPU. All right, awesome. Now I can hear it. We left off messing around with the synth last time, so we're going to open that up. We're going to open up guitar. We're going to open up bass, although we probably don't need to. I can make these a little smaller. I can definitely make the rhythm guitars a little smaller. Same with the leads. I'm going to just make everything a little more manageable. Okay. What we're going to do is going to be a little bit more unorthodox. I'm going to pull in the vocal tracks, but before we do that, we're going to mess around a little bit and just make sure that there hasn't been any major things that we've forgotten. We've kind of skipped around and done little pieces here and there. But we're going to just be checking for cohesion within the mix, fixing things, and then moving on to begin processing our vocal tracks. So I'm just going to hit play, and I'm going to start messing around. If I need to pull down the mix window, I will. This is really going to be kind of a listen and watch, so let's jump right in. Okay, I actually feel like we could probably benefit from a full-on sub-fader balance here. So what we're going to do is collapse everything down to the sub-fader level. Oh, nice. Cool. All right. Drums is already good. Synths are good. All right, what we're going to do, we know drums are coming in first, so we're just going to lower these other three. Make sure that the drums just had one of the snare hits peak right under -6. So that's where we're going to leave it, and then we're going to start bringing in our bass. We want to bring our bass into a level where it is blending nicely with the kick and the snare and the drum kit, but not overpowering it. Too much bass. Too little bass. That may even be a little bit on the hot side, or either perfect, but we're going to let it hang out right there while we bring in the guitars. All right, way too low. I like to do this to kind of ground myself. I'll go way too low, way too high, then I'll drop it back down and bring it in slowly. We're just going to do the same thing with the synth. lower that verse synth a little bit. And then raise up this accent synth a little more. I just want to wait and watch for this other synth here. I feel like that synth is sitting really nice. Okay, all right, we've got a basic leveling. So I am going to put this back up top and bring us back into our mix window here. All right, let's get that back down. Let's get that back down. Drums are okay. All right, we're gonna go through, make sure everything's sitting where it needs to sit. Kind of shift things around if they need to be shifted around as far as frequency masking that might be taking place and things like that. So let's give it a listen. To me, it really just sounds like the synth can come down in the mix a lot. I'll take a look at the frequency spectrum and see if we can do some work there, but it's kind of sticking out like a sore thumb. Not that it's too loud, it just doesn't feel like it fits in the same harmonic frequencies that the rest of the song is in. And that is probably because it's carrying pretty much only high end throughout. So we'll continue to mess with that after the vocals come in. The vocals are also gonna put off a lot more high end. So once they're in the mix, we may be doing a lot better than we are right now in terms of cohesion. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring the vocal tracks in and we'll pick up where I left off. All right, we are back and we have all of our vocal tracks imported. So we are going to do some organizing. Let's make them all small, but we want to be able to see the waveforms here so that we can kind of get it lined up right. Okay, one of the things I noticed when I brought them in was that there was only one verse track. So I'm happy to see that the whole arrangement does look filled out. Looks like a small instrumental section here, but we've got a first verse, we've got a second verse, we've got what's probably pre-chorus and or chorus in both spots. And then we've got it back down here for the outro after another spot of bridge vocals. So the first thing we're going to do, let's check our colors. Have we used black yet? We have not. So we're going to go ahead and make all of these solid black along with their clips. And then we're going to slide it back to the beginning. One thing I've noticed about importing audio in Ableton, it tends to add milliseconds of time to the front. So when we do get to listening, the first thing we're going to do is make sure everything lines up. This looks like a prime candidate for what I'm talking about, but we'll see. It could just be, and it looks like they're about the same on every single one. So I can bet you we're probably going to be moving these to the left a little bit, but let's finish organizing. Go in here, let's get us a vocal sub created. Make it just a little bit lighter, rename it vocal sub. We're good to go there. The next thing that I like to do is I like to put everything in order. So we're going to bring this verse track up to the top. These two are going to go last, and that looks like that's going to be all she wrote here. We are now in order. Next thing we're going to do is gain stage. So let's start soloing out our tracks. I'm going to get us to a good spot up here in the mix window so I can rattle off our readings. And we're going to start. Before we gain stage, since we're messing with the tracks already, I'm going to go ahead and get them all where I think they need to be. So let's give it a listen without soloing first. Okay, it actually looks like we're fine. It looks like we're coming in right where we're supposed to be. I just did not have the grid zoomed in enough. All right, I'm actually going to need to get with the artist on this because it does sound like it could be in time. Let's check out the chorus. All right, yep, kind of the same deal going on. I'm going to check the bridge just to see if we get any more clues, but I will probably have to reach out to the artist here, get him to send me a reference track, and then we'll align the vocals with that. But that's all right. We can still do the processing that we need to do. Let's just give this bridge a listen. Okay, cool deal. We're in the same boat there. Everything is lining up otherwise. If we do make a move, we will be going from here to here. But I'm going to reach out and see how it was intended. Until then, we're just going to continue to get these vocals set up. And I'll even go into, right before we finish today, the standard processing plugins that we'll use for each of these. So I am going to go ahead and start soloing out and raising our gain so that we're staged correctly, starting with verse vocals.
When I'm detached, I'm in my mind.
All right, we're coming in about negative 18, so we're going to bring that up quite a bit.
When I'm detached, I'm in my mind. I'm in my own sanctuary. Holding hostage, I fall silent. Keep myself in solitary. Racing.
All right, cool. We're coming in right under negative 6 there. So let's move on to the next one. Chorus 1. Let's give us a little more space here.
Let my eye become my voice.
Negative 14 there.
My survival relies.
Right under negative 6 there. One of the things that we are going to definitely need to be reliant on is going to be either heavy EQ from 7 to 10K for S's and P's and plosives, or maybe we'll mess around with the de-esser. We'll see. The issue that I have with de-essers is that a lot of the times they come with presets that you can't really manipulate, and they either don't cut enough of the S out, or they cut way too much and you can't change it and it ends up sounding like a lisp, like a TH sound. On to the next track here. Chorus 1B. Make sure we have it selected. Same deal, about negative 12. We're going to come up.
Send deep to the void.
Negative 6. Next one.
I swallowed acid, voice destroyed.
Right under negative 6 there. Next one.
I swallowed acid, voice destroyed. I swallowed acid.
-6, next one.
Let my eyes become my voice. Let my eyes be.
Right under, but we're going to bring it up.
Let my.
The reason, so on some of the tracks up here, I would be gain staging. I'd be like, oh, well, we're right under. We're at -12. That's fine. With vocals, it's a little more imperative that you're accurate here. And the reason is, once we have these vocals edited and EQ'd and they're coming through and they are ripping, right? One of the last things we're going to do is put a compressor on the sub. So yes, you do have control with your faders, but we want the vocal processing to be very organized and very neat because we're going to do a lot of trickery here to get it to sit where it needs to and to have it have that aggressive metal style to it. So we are going to bring these up right as close to -6 as we did all of the rest of them, and that's kind of why for this one, I was like, yeah, it was right under -6, but I want to boost it back up and get it super close, if not right on.
Fading out to the dusk. Fading out.
That's a little too hot.
Fading out to fading out.
Right at -6. Next, and final track.
Fading out to the dusk. Fading out to the dusk. Fading out.
Okay, cool. All right, another thing that I know about this artist from working with them for this whole past year is there are a lot of techniques that they like to use as far as the panning of the vocals go. So I'm going to use this as an opportunity, one, to show you how I usually end up setting the panning on this artist's vocals, and then also showing you another place where you can do it in Ableton and not have to switch out to the mix window. And it tends to be, I like to keep the vocals really tight. Again, super accurate. Using this method for panning will keep us super accurate as we'll get a numerical value versus the other window, you get the panning wheel, but it just shows the blue and gray area for how far you've panned. We'll be able to see a value here. And in the automation window, if you ever wanted to go that route, you can come in here, select mixer, and then you can select panning, and you can pan here with numerical values also. So we are going to keep the lead vocal for the verses coming right up the middle.
When I'm detached, I'm in my mind, I'm in my own sanctuary.
Then for the chorus, we're going to get a little weird with it. So let's listen. What it looks like to me is it looks like there are harmonizing vocals on the left and the right. And then there's a separate vocal part that we will probably create a blend for.
Let my eyes become my voice. I swallowed acid, voice destroy.
Yeah, all right. So how we're going to start this is we're going to bring this the most off. We're going to go 9 and 10. We want a little bit of variation for the stereo spectrum. And then we're going to leave this one piping right up the center. These will probably come in a little bit too, by the way. We really do want the vocals to stay very close to center. And less is kind of more, I've been finding, with the background vocals and how far you pan them. Sometimes it can sound really cool to have them pan far out and sound like they're in a big room, but that comes with some ups and downs for all of the mix engineers that are watching this versus the artists that may be watching this video. When you pan far left and far right, it does enhance your stereo image. It makes it wider. It makes it louder. It makes it more detailed, but sometimes that detail is your enemy. You will hear every difference in the take the wider that you pan. As a matter of fact, in vocal comps where you've got multiple takes of the same thing and you're only going to promote certain pieces of each line to the actual production take that you're going to use, you pan hard left and hard right so that you can hear the differences a little better when you're listening to everything. So 9 and 10 is a good place to start. Maybe ending up at 7 and 8, or maybe even 4 and 5, 5 and 6. We'll see.
I swallowed acid voices.
So let's take this one. Are they playing at the same time? Not really. So I'm going to do 7 and 8 on these.
He got my voice. I swallowed acid voice destroy.
Okay, now I can tell that has widened it. We are going to leave it there, but I want to bring up something else. Dry and wet vocal takes. So you're going to run across, again, message for the audio engineers and mix engineers who are trying to make a viable career on freelance editing, mixing, and mastering, right? You are not going to get perfect tracks or perfect takes every time. Everybody's human. Conversation is key and communication is key. It is a rule of thumb that you always want your tracks as dry as possible according to the genre and how they were recorded. If you get distorted guitars, you want those distorted guitars pretty dry. You want to be able to edit all the noise out yourself. Because once you get a track that isn't dry, that is your starting point, and you can't go anywhere to the left of that. You can only go forward. So what that means is that you are stuck with everything you get in these tracks. What I'm going to do is solo these out to see if they're all the same.
I swallowed acid voice destroyed.
Oh, nice. This is great. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff here.
I swallowed acid voice destroyed. Survival. I swallowed acid.
Okay, so when I solo the tracks out, it's not as bad. When they're all together, though, listen to the difference in timbre from this stanza to this stanza.
He got my voice. I swallowed acid voice.
What you're hearing is not over compression or over equalization, it's phasing. The reason we've got phasing is because this is probably a direct duplicate of each of these tracks that aren't exactly lined up. So let's check it out. What do you know? We are going to the right slightly on each of these. These tracks are all glued, as in, when I zoom out, there's no more separation here, and all of them are going to be doing this. So I'm going to fix it here, and it should fix it across the board. This is something we want to make these fairly large for. These two right here are really close, but you can see they are not exact. And we really need precision here. That looks about right. That looks about right. Now let's give it another listen, and I don't want to have a foot and mouth moment here, but that should have fixed up our phasing problem.
I swallowed acid voices.
It absolutely did. Now what we're hearing are 3 identical vocal tracks stacked on top of each other. I can't remember if we've did this yet in any of the other videos, but we're going to go ahead and help this out a little bit by doing a little bit of a stereoization trick. Let me check time. Oh, perfect. We're going to get these chorus vocals stereoized the way that we want them. And then, even for these two, I think I'm going to do this because I definitely want to get the biggest, widest vocal image that I can without it being too crazy. And I don't know, these waveforms are not identical. There's a peak here on this one. This part is way fatter here than it is on this one. So I think it's safe to assume that we are going to not touch these. I'm not going to touch these. But it's also safe to assume that all of these are the same exact take and they're now in phase. So one thing I've neglected to do pretty much all session that I'm going to do right now is I'm going to hit Command S to save. Really, I should be doing that about every 3.5 milliseconds. Then I'm going to come up here. We are going to go to, I've got a way different looking screen down here for some reason, and I'm not sure why. Maybe it's the size? Yeah, size. All right, so we're going to bring this down 2 cents. We're going to bring this up 1 cent. All right, let's listen.
My voice, I swallowed acid. I swallowed acid, voice. I swallowed acid, voice destroyed. I swallowed acid, voice destroyed.
Okay, so we're actually not going to get away with any of that there.
I swallowed acid, voice destroyed. My survival relies.
Okay, so what we're going to do, and this is a great starting point for next video. We're going to group these into a sub. Make it the same color as all our other vocal subs. Rename it Chorus Vocal Blend. And then we're going to process each 3 separately. Similarly, but separately and kind of different. And we're going to make a real kick-ass blend of these 3 tracks to blend in at these parts in the chorus. Until then, though, let's go ahead and flop that down. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to listen through. And we're going to get a good little leveling balance of our vocals in the mix so that when we pick up next time, we're right where we need to be. And we can just start editing and start processing these vocals.
When I'm detached, I'm in my mind, I'm in my own. When I'm detached, I'm in my mind, I'm in my own sanctuary. Holding hostage, I fall silent, keep myself in solitary. Racing thoughts, they persevere, letting go of fear. Let my eyes become my voice. I've swallowed acid, voice destroyed. My survival relies.
All right, we're also going to group these 2. Same color. Rename it Chorus Vocals 1.
Let my eyes become my voice. I've swallowed acid. Let my eyes become my voice. I've swallowed acid, voice destroyed. My survival relies on you to navigate this mind.
All right, cool. Let's make sure that we've got the bridge vocals brought in at a decent level here.
I've swallowed acid, voice destroyed. My survival relies on you to navigate this mind. Fading into the dust, leave you behind in the desert, hiding from your disgust. You become nothing but a memory. Fading into the dust, leave you behind in the desert.
All right, I think we've got a decent level mix going on with the raw vocal tracks. Before we wrap it up, I'm going to start throwing on our basic processing units for vocals, and then we will call it a day. So let's go in here. We know we're going to throw EQ on. So let's grab an EQ8 right on the vocal sub on every sub. As a matter of fact, I'm going to use a stock compressor on the vocal sub. And then for the other subs, I'm going to come in with a CLA 76. And we're going to use the stereo version. Thank you. Also noticed I'm not copying and pasting these. It would be okay now because I haven't set anything other than what they're set to stock. But I am going to use different settings on each one of these for those compressors. Let me make sure I got that on there. Okay, great. But I don't have an EQ. Let's fix that. Let's make sure it's before our compressor. Remember, we don't want to compress anything that we don't want to hear. So we're going to want to get that out first. And it looks like we are all set up. Awesome. All right, everyone. That's going to be it for today. I will see you next time, and we will jump right into these vocals. Bye.